All right, everybody, welcome to Are They Out There Tonight? We are here with my daughter and my son, and of course, Bobby, our host, the man, the myth, the Gator.
Gator.
Again, everybody, we want you to write to us at Are They Out There, the number one at gmail.com. Comment on any of this. Let us know your stories. Let us know what you're thinking. We'd love to have anything that you give us, any suggestions for shows and such. So tonight we're going to delve into kind of the paranormal. That's kind of been my background when I first got started with things years and years ago, even before my son here was born. But they've had the opportunity to experience some of the stuff too, and we'll just get started here. And I think Rachel has like the first experience she wants to share with us.
So it was actually at the house in Ogden, and one night I heard something.
What's the time frame on this, Rachel? Like this low, recently or years ago?
It's probably been like 6 years.
Okay.
But I heard something in the bathroom, thought it was my boys. I have 3 boys, and I kind of sat up and just seen somebody sitting on the counter and just leaned out and looked at me and didn't say anything. And so that really freaked me out, but I kind of chopped it up to was maybe sleeping and just dreamt it. But then as time went on, like within a couple of weeks, I kept thinking my kids were running up on me and would see somebody in a white t-shirt out of the corner of my eye. And when I'd look, there'd be nobody there. But that's like really when I kind of started believing in it, like that maybe that there is something more than we really think about or know about. But yeah, that's probably my first like real experience, and that was enough to scare me. So
did you like look into it or have any idea what it might have been, or a person that you might have knew, or have any kind of resemblances to anything?
So I was telling my dad earlier, the one thing that stuck out the most to me was it was definitely a guy, but it was his hair, and it was, you know how Ted Bundy had kind of the wave curly hair? That's kind of how this guy's hair was. But when I had moved from that house to my Sunset house, like it almost intensified like a year later. And I don't know if you guys believe in mediums. I'm still kind of up in the air about them. But
yeah, I kind of had a run-in with one, and man, it freaked me out. So I believe you.
Yeah, I had one run-in with one lady, and that really, because she actually brought that up and kept saying that the number 12, but she's like, this guy's here, and he's just like, almost like he's excited, like, hey, I'm here, like, let her know. And the first thing she said was that he keeps pointing at his hair, and it was, I can't remember, Shaggy from Scooby, and like it was like holy shit. So I don't know who it was, like I didn't recognize him, but that experience, like, but it did, whatever it was, went to the 12th Street house, and she was like, you know, he's not bad, but it's just he's more of an annoyance, because he definitely let me know that he was there by a few things. And I don't really talk to a lot of people about it because they think you're crazy, and I thought I was crazy. But
the only reason I'd say that I believe it more now is because I had a similar experience, and from my understanding, like way they made it believe it to me is like these things. It's not so much that the house or anything will be haunted, but they like attach to you, and then they'll like follow you along, you know, from place to place. Is the way she. But basically, my thing was with a medium as well, and that I didn't tell the woman anything. Like I didn't give her any information about me, my life, or anything. But the things she said hit. I mean, she hit them dead on the head. So I was like, "All right, we might be on to something here." So,
right, Bobby. For some reason, your video dropped out, but we can still hear you.
Man, it's fine on mine.
Yeah, I don't know why. There you go. You're back. So
all I did was touch it.
Yeah.
Really blurry, Dad.
So So, Bob, you remember when we had the episode about the sleep demons?
Yep.
Okay, so Hunter, tell him
Yeah.
what happened, and then Bobby, let's I want to see what you respond with here.
So when we used to live in this house out in Roy, well, I think we moved out of it in 2016 or something like that because it's right before.
It's been 7
my-
years, believe it or not. It's been 7 years.
Yeah. So in our old Roy house, and I think Rachel can even attest to this, that downstairs there was always like, there's just always an uncomfortable vibe about it. Like, just never wanted to be down there by myself, which is funny enough that I decided.
And Gary probably got y'all in there because, like, he, you know, it was for some reason that house, the rent was super cheap. Yeah.
No,
Right.
no, Bobby, the real reason I bought that house is Hunter was still very young, right? And my oldest boy was about 7, I think it was, and I was trying to find a house far away. I was getting divorced, and Riker looked at me and said, "Dad, can you find a house where I can ride my bike when I want to come see you?" So I found this home which was probably about a quarter of a mile away from where I was living at the time with my ex-wife. So that's why I bought that house. But I mean, back then too, $126,000 for a 4-bedroom home wasn't bad.
Hey, don't forget to mention those appliances that they had at that house was the real kicker.
Yeah, somebody put a bullet hole through my dishwasher. I'm not going to say who, Rachel. So anyways, Hunter, go on.
So anyways. But yeah, this downstairs was just always like, it was super uncomfortable to just be down there. And like, I could never really pinpoint what it was, but it just always felt like something didn't want you in there and something was always watching you when you were down there, which is funny enough that I decided I wanted my room to be down there for a while. After this incident happened, I definitely moved all my shit back upstairs. But one night I was down there sleeping, and in that room it had the ceiling tiles that you could pop out and move them. And so I'm sitting there, and I wake up in the middle of the night, and I just like am kind of staring up, and I don't know, it could have been like sleep paralysis, but I've really never had that, so I don't really know what it's like. But I remember looking up, and it was pretty dark, and one of the ceiling tiles moved out, and then I just saw this black figure start crawling out of it like this with red eyes, and it just kept getting closer and closer to me, and to the point where I jumped out of bed and ran upstairs. And then the next thing I remember, I woke up in the living room upstairs. So I had gotten up in the middle of the night because something startled me, and I went upstairs and stuff. But then when I went back downstairs, the ceiling tiles were still there. Nothing was different in the room and stuff like that. But that was definitely one of those instances in that downstairs basement area that really scared me.
Oh, okay, let me ask you this. So when this happened, did you have can you remember having like conscious thoughts in your head like you would if you were awake?
Yeah, I remember it feeling like everything that was happening, I was aware of what was happening, and then I remember making the decision to get out of my bed and run upstairs. But then the next thing I remember is when I woke up, I was just on the couch upstairs.
So I have a lot of sleep. I had sleep paralysis like nobody's business. Like they say most people have. If people have it, it's maybe once, twice in a lifetime. I do that in a week.
Yeah.
And it is the absolute most realist, terrifying, helpless feeling shit you've ever felt in your life. Like, you see it, it is real. I don't care what anybody says, it is real. And you are in your surrounding, and you are extremely helpless. It would be like somebody tying you down and somebody walking towards you with a knife with the intention of stabbing you. Like, there's no getting away from it. So,
well, see, and that's kind of the other reason that I don't really know if it was sleep paralysis, because like it wasn't like, because I know
you wouldn't be able to move.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to move, and I was fully capable of being able to get up and get the hell out when I realized I was like, oh, okay, something's really going wrong here. So
So
yeah, it was just
did
one of
you? I
those
mean,
weird.
did you ever go open the tiles up or shoot the
Oh hell
tile?
no,
Or
no, never looked at
he's like I'm not that white. Like
it.
I
Right.
Right.
don't.
But yeah, there was a
Right.
there was
But I
a
mean,
few things.
there's been all kinds of things happen in the we call it the Roy House because that's the name of the town that we lived in. And what's interesting, remember, Bobby, I told you I went over to a house and checked it out and nothing was happening.
Yeah.
That's my old house that we went to, and actually Rachel went
Oh,
with
that's
me.
the same one.
Same house. So the guy was claiming all this stuff was going on, but you know, there was
So what
nothing
the hell was
happening
the whole
there.
point of
But
that?
with
What
us
was the
living there,
point of
there was a
him
lot of
claiming
stuff.
all that anyway?
I don't know. It's like he wanted help supposedly, but I couldn't. There was nothing there. He just, I think he was drinking all the time or high all the time, and
Did you
I hate
know
to say
him
it, but he's just a
outside?
slob. What's that?
Did you know him like personally
Um,
before that or?
no, I actually sold the house to him. I was a realtor at the time too, so I sold my own house to him. Rachel knows him. And that's how I found out that, quote, something was going on there with him, but there was nothing happening as far as I could tell there. But, a lot of other things happened to us while I was there and living there. And I don't know, Rachel, Hunter, I mean, you want to say anything else about that house or anything that's happened here?
So, well, it's something that you said earlier about like how I just want to throw this out there, how things attach to you and like you can move and it'll go with you. So I'm not like a spiritual person. I don't really know what I believe in, but I really do feel that, like say this house could be totally fine for him and then somebody else move in here and it be like serious things going on. But I feel that it's all about energy. Like I feel that when you allow somebody to come into your home and you know how you just get that feeling like, I'm not too sure about this person. I feel that they have types of energy attached to them. And so I kind of feel like a lot of things that happen are more energy. Does that make sense? I mean, that's kind of like totally
Oh,
just throwing
100%.
something
And I'll
out
tell you
there.
the the best the thing I've learned the best for if you're not sure about somebody is put a dog in front of them,
Right. My
and
dog's
I'm
out.
a dog will point them right out.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and
But
they say dogs can see spirits.
oh, I believe it.
I know for facts. I've seen it. Like seen it. Scary as shit.
Well, like
Right.
speaking about that, so okay, the house that Gary Dad's in right now, he had me stay here when he was out of town one night, and his girlfriend, I'm pretty sure was in town, but anyway, it was cleaning, and I swear that I heard like a female's voice say, "Hey," so I thought it was her, and I was like, "Yeah," and then I tell Dad about it, and he's like, "Nah, it's good," but then I hear this guy right here is like, "Hey, some weird things have happened here at Dad's house," but that come along the dog
Yeah.
thing, like he had an incident. Go ahead and tell him where.
Oh, when someone like was walking up on me right
Oh,
here.
when Medusa like sat up.
Oh yeah, so like there's been a few times with the dogs here where like when I used to live here with my dad, I'd be downstairs in my room and he'd be like out, I don't know, like out of town or something. So I would have both the dogs down there with me and I knew it wasn't just me hearing it because both the dogs all would always perk up and kind of look around like what the hell because we could hear like footsteps and people walking up in the kitchen above my room all the time. And then there was this one time I was actually sitting on the stairs. So where my dad's room is, there's the stairs right there. And I was on the phone with one of my friends and we were actually on FaceTime and like I heard somebody like just walk up on me behind me. I was sitting on the stairs and even she kind of looked into the camera and was like, "What was that?" And I was like, "Dude, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure something just walked up on me." And the fact that even she heard it through the phone, it was like, all right, well then I'm not just losing my mind here. Like something definitely just walked up on me. But yeah, there's been a few like I feel like I'm always hearing footsteps in this house that my dad's in now, but it's not like it doesn't feel like a threatening thing. It just you just hear weird things here.
No, like kind of like your sister was saying. it has to do with, I think it has to do with, like she said, energy. And the reason I say that is, so I had this house I was living in, and apparently it was way older than I thought. Uh, but anyway, I've never had an uncomfortable feeling in it ever. Like, it's just country home, felt good. And one night I went to lay down in the bed, and my dogs sleep with me. I have a pit bull and a dogo, and she always, when she gets in bed, she comes up and she slides under the covers. Well, we lay in bed, but man, it don't feel good in here. Like, I'm like, man, it's just eerie as hell. The dog won't get under the blanket. She goes to the end of the bed, but it's so dark I can't see what she's doing. Well, now she's growling, and I'm griping at her. I'm like, get over here and lay down, and she won't do it. She'll run back up to me for a minute, like she wants to go and whine, and then she goes back to the end of the bed and she starts growling. So I got tired of it, and I flipped my light on my phone, and this dog is watching the room, and she's following something with her head, and she would start growling at it. Well, I'm like, what the hell do you see? Maybe it's a bug, something like that. Well, then she runs back up to me, whines, goes back up, back to the end of the bed, and she's following it again. And then she snaps at it, starts lunging. And man, I'm telling you, it was the creepiest shit ever. I was the hell with this, so I got up and we went and slept in the truck. But I went and talked to a medium about it, which I'd never done that because I just didn't believe in it. You know what I mean? And man, she filled me all kinds of in on the whole deal, and I was like, all right, I'm done. Like, let's go get us a fucking quarter-pound of sage. We're gonna smoke them out.
Oh man.
But yeah, I believe
I
the
know
dogs
that.
can see it.
Yeah. What, and I think I've told the story before, but one time over at the old house, I put alarms like on the doors and stuff, and they had a certain chime tune on each door, and there was a door that led a man door from the house into the garage. And the garage was on the side of the house, and at the time, my oldest boy was living downstairs, and me and Hunter were up on the couch, and I heard the door open, the chime went off, and I was like, "Hey, Riker," and I didn't hear anything, and I'm like, "Riker," started yelling for him. We go down, I walk down the stairs and nobody's down there. I go back upstairs. We start watching TV again, and I hear the chime and the door open and close again, and nobody was downstairs at all on that one. So a lot of things happened over at the Roy house for us when it came to quote the paranormal type realm and stuff like that. But even this last stint, I was telling the kids here, when I was in the VA hospital there last week, they asked how I wanted to be woke up, and I was just telling them, just call out my name. And they said, all right, well, we'll do it softly, right? Because they're afraid of people with PTSD. And I was laying there and they were waking me up about every 4 hours, like take the vitals and all that kind of stuff. And I was asleep and I hear Gary. And so, you sleep pretty lightly in the hospital. And I rolled over. Wasn't anybody in my room. Nobody came in on the vitals, take blood, anything like that. There was just nobody in the room at all. So I don't know,
Man,
like you said, if it follows you.
Yeah. And that's how Freddy Krueger was, man. He liked to fuck with people. Don't he? Goddamn call your name out. He's always want to fuck with everybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they need to fear Rachel because she'll shoot your dishwasher if you mess with her.
Yeah, that VA hospital is a little creepy. It feels like a prison.
Yeah, that I don't know. That it has a creepy I've never seen. What's that one show where they say red rum?
Oh, The Shining.
Yeah,
The Shining.
Yeah, The Shining.
That one hallway, like you hit that hallway and it's got that red line that goes all the way down. That's all I could think of, and I was like, oh my god. Yeah, it's not. That place is creepy as.
At least y'all got a nice one. Like, we just now got a new one, and the old one I think was an old grocery store or something like that. Motherfucker was rough. It had one doctor.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to get off subject, but the VA up here, it's nice because the University of Utah, The VA is like kind of like a teaching hospital as well. So you get a lot of the university doctors that come over and stuff like that. So
you get students to come practice on.
Right.
yeah, pretty
You,
much, pretty
you come
much.
use these
It's a,
guys.
right. So, but, you know, in this house, the only thing that I've like heard or happened like for me is I've heard a door every now and then open up. But the kind of the weirdest thing is like I'll get up and I'll notice there's a light coming from downstairs and like my TV's on and I have a very small TV down in my living room and it lights up everything. And it's more like a damn theater TV is what it is. But and then downstairs, it's kind of our music room. I have a little small room downstairs off of the Hunter's old bedroom. And there's a TV on the wall there. And one night I saw a light coming from that. And I went downstairs, used the remote and shut it off. And then I looked over and I am not lying about this. The TV was not even plugged in.
Okay.
So that
Hey,
was probably, that freaked me a little bit right there.
hey, Hunter, let me see the arm real quick.
Oh, it's a mannequin arm.
Only reason I was laughing about that, man, and it's a little off subject, but I used to have a girl that did my tattoos, and she had one in her tattoo shop. And I was like, what the hell is that for? And she's like, use your imagination. And I'm like, there is no fucking way. No way.
Yeah. So I have a couple mannequins up here because of my body armor business, and I do some like Zoom meetings and stuff, and I have mannequins set up with the armor and stuff on it. And that's what that's from there.
Okay, so I'm just gonna throw this out here, but if you ever need anybody to watch your house, like you better call him because I'm not doing this.
Fuck no, I'm not.
Let me tell you, okay?
What?
He did have those mannequins, and the way his middle floor is set up, it's just because we were actually talking about this. I'm like, I get an uneasy feeling like at the stairs, like it kind of is just like somebody's reaching out, wanting to touch, but it's like kind of open. So the first couple nights that I was here, like coming in, you think somebody's just standing there, like just staring at you. You know, what is that? I see dead people.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, so you know where at the beginning where that guy's just standing there in his chonies?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like walking in. He's got mannequins that are just standing in their chonies that just say sheriff. Like, I don't know if we're having a raid or if, like, somebody... yeah, like, not right. But for a while, it was creepy.
I had to move them upstairs. Even my girlfriend was like, man, the mannequins are freaking me out down there.
Yeah.
Do you remember the pictures they used to have? And they even had them in restaurants, but the eyes followed you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
That's his mannequin, Frank and Harry.
Right.
I would have to mess with you if the mannequins were there. Like every time you walk by them, I'd have it moved or something. Like,
right.
You know, they move on their own.
Yeah, he just said
they move on their own at nighttime.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean, have to ask you, Dad. Hunter said that there was like, maybe it was Hunter. I'm pretty sure it was, or you did, about when you and Shelly were out in the hot tub and you guys heard that voice. Was it at this house?
Yeah, you were telling me that you and Shelly heard someone say something the other night.
I can't remember, to be honest with you.
I was
that
telling
must
you
be the old age.
The other night when I was over at my friend Maddie's house, how I had that girl like whisper really loud in my ear, and then you were telling me about you and Shelly heard something here at the house the other night.
Oh yeah, we were. I think we were in the kitchen or something. Or no, we were at her house. We were at her house, and she has a very old home. It's like built back in like 1936. And so you walk in and then she has a basement, and we were standing there talking, and I think I can't remember the exact words, but I think it was like, hey, Shelly, or hey, or something like that. And we both stopped. We were both talking to each other, and we both stopped and kind of looked over, and I'm like, did you hear something? And she's like, yeah. She goes, I heard hey, or my name. And like her kids weren't downstairs or anything like that. It was just clear as day, like somebody was just almost at the top of the stairs going, hey, Shelly, like that. So just her house, I don't know if it's like with me or, you know what I mean? If something's attached to me that follows me like that, or, could be that old house. You just never know.
It's
But
probably something. It could be something that was there that jumps on you back, man. That's the way I feel about it. Like that's the way the woman explained it to me. Is these things are out there? They're not just like that. They're not set to one person or anything, but you might cross them where they're being in like an old home or something like that, and they're just a parasite. Like they just snatch onto you.
right. Right. And I've had both the kids here have gone with me on a couple of investigations that we've done. Um Hunter, you went with us when we went over to the old courthouse for Aunt Debbie, didn't you?
Yep.
On that, yeah, we had some weird stuff happen there, Bobby. Have you ever seen where they take a mag light and they turn it to where it barely shuts off, and they set it down, and then they start asking questions, and you say, if the answer is yes, turn the light on, right? And we were down in the bottom of it used to be a human services building, keeping death records, stuff like that. Now it's a court. And we set the flashlight down. We had about 17 people in the room and started asking questions, and the flashlight would come on. And then I'd be like, okay, turn it off. And then the light would just flicker out. Oh God, excuse me.
But it would do it. So it would do it at the end of the question, not like mid question. You get a flicker here and there.
No, we would ask specific questions, and like on some questions, the light didn't come on because we said only if the answer was yes, turn the light on. And then we would ask a question, and then the light would just flicker and come on. And then we would be like, okay, thank you, turn the light off, and then it would go off. I mean, it was like on command. Aw.
That's my.
I missed it. Bring it back. I missed it.
Come here, Bailey. Come here. Everybody wants to see Bayhound. This is my guardian right here. Now this is my fur missile. I'm serious. She looks sweet, but this dog chooses nothing but violence all the time.
Really?
Oh yeah. And then my other one, I can't pick him up. He's like 120 pounds.
Yeah, that's how my dog is. He's just this fat.
No. There's nothing fat about him. He's like 3 foot tall. He's a Dogo Argentino, and they were made to kill a mountain lion and a wild boar. Yeah, they're massive. They look like a super grown pit bull. Like they are massive. He's way too big.
Mine was just made to eat up couches and everything he can. He's good,
right?
Now. But
yeah.
So
yeah.
I was just going to say,
go on. Ask.
With you going to do going on these tours, or I don't know what you want to call them, these adventures.
We're ghost hunters.
Ghost hunting. Do you feel that doing that, you're like opening that world or whatever's out there? Like you're inviting it. Like you're inviting that. Like, are you ever worried? Because like we keep bugging you. Like, I really want to go to a cemetery and use like the cat balls and all that stuff. But Cody's like, why do you do that? Things are going to attach to you. But I mean, what's your take on that?
Well, my take is like when I do an investigation, I go any place I go as a skeptic, right? I mean, like you saw the night in the Roy house, right? I mean, I tried everything, but I was like, no. And especially when he was like, oh, did you hear that downstairs? And I'm like, yeah, it's your roommate. He opened a freaking beer can, right? Because you can hear the pull tab or whatever, But I've never really been freaked. I don't think I've really been freaked out about anything. Even when we went to the Capitol Theater.
I want to go back.
Do you remember going to the Capitol Theater that time?
Yep.
I try to find reason in everything, but at the same time, again, because this is all just, it's not a proven thing. It's not a proven science, right? So, I mean, I believe in the saying, don't follow me home. You're not welcome, yada, yada, that sort of thing and stuff like that. But I mean, if that realm is real, I think if you really start getting into what we'll call it the dark arts, or really like when you open it up and say, the
We ain't
thing.
conjuring nothing, Gary. You can
Yeah.
give that shit
Yeah.
up. Like if there's something hanging out, we'll go check it out. But we ain't fisting to start conjuring
Right.
spirits.
Yeah, see, and that's not what I'm about. I'm like, when I do an investigation, it's like, number one, the first thing I try to do is, if you tell me there's a noise in the house that you're hearing, I try to find that noise, right? And if I can explain that noise, then that's gone. You know what I mean? But if I catch stuff on tape and everything like that, like, we caught that voice, a guy that I used to, that kind of started getting me into the Salt Lake area, and we partnered up to do the ghost hunting. He caught on his tape recorder that White Noise used a woman's voice at the very end of the night, and you can hear our bag zipping up. And this woman's voice was like, get out of my house. Right. And the only people in the Capitol Theater that night were myself, my friend Doug, the caretaker, and Salt Lake City County Sheriff's deputy, who he patrols inside and stuff. But there at the Capitol Theater, there's been all kinds of stuff and voices and elevators moving and doors that we would check that were locked would be unlocked and stuff like that. And the night Rachel went with us, we had the AP reporter with us, and this is no lie, that we're standing out in the foyer, and the women's bathrooms on the left, the men's bathrooms on the right, and toilets in the women's room started flushing, and then toilets in the men's room started flushing. It was like a symphony of toilets going off. And the AP woman thought that we were, it was a setup, but when we went in there was nobody in the bathrooms, just odd things like that. And in those you can't explain. I don't know, how do you explain flushing toilets going back and forth, almost like one would flush, the other would just going back and forth, but I believe that if you truly believe that something's dark and you start inviting it, then yeah, I think, whether it's in your mind or not, or you've conjured it up, yeah, that's opening the door.
Right.
But I don't do that. I want to, if I hear something or I catch something, then that's what I'll report or put out there. But I'm not out there walking into a place going, I want the spirits, you know what I mean? Or anything like that.
So I got a place. So I have a couple here in Arkansas. Like I've been making me a list, and I actually have one I'm going to go back to because I went to it as a kid, and I wanted to pull it up just to make sure that I was right on it. But so there's one we have called the Gurdon Light. All right, and it's been on Unsolved Mysteries and Mysteries of the Museum. Um, anyway, a lot of people go out there during Halloween and stuff, and it it's supposed to you look down the tracks and you can see like light orbs. Okay, and I got to see it when I was a kid, and it's not all the time, but the time I went, you have to walk quite a bit down the railroad tracks, and the tracks aren't in service anymore.
I've heard about
And
this.
so, and the lore behind it is it's supposed to be a lantern of a railroad worker who fell in the path of a train. It says the legend states the man's head, and this is the story I was told. The legend states that the man's head was separated from his body and was never found, and that the light that people see come from his lantern as he's searching for it. In another variation, it says the light is a lantern carried by railway foreman Will McLean, who was killed in the vicinity during a confrontation with one of his workers, Lewis McBride, back in 1931. McLean believed McBride was the one who removed the spikes from a section track, causing a freight train to derail in an attempt to derail the Sunshine Special passenger train. Some say the confrontation was about how many hours McBride was allowed to work due to the Great Depression. McBride confessed to the murder and was executed by electrocution. Okay. Anyway, so this is what what people are saying. Some are saying, hey, that the lights are just passenger cars from a highway far off, and you're catching a glimpse of them. And then a lot of people are saying it's piezoelectricity coming from the constant stress because the place is built over quartz crystals.
Right.
Uh, and it's, they're saying basically that it's the quartz crystals, and, Arkansas has the largest fault line in the country in it. Everybody thinks it's in California. It's actually here. We have
Right.
the New Madrid fault line that it was it's so big that the last time it went off, it made the Mississippi River run backwards.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, so I remember going, a bunch of friends of mine, we were like 16 and we went, and I you see it, and it looks like a lantern of light bobbing down the tracks, like,
That's
about head
crazy.
level. Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things I'd forgot until I got to thinking about it. But it was very visible. It wasn't a damn car light. Like if a car light was going across, it would be a through the trees or something. It would be a blip,
Right.
and
And it would
and
pass
out of
by
there.
quickly.
Right, and then like I said, it would be on and off. This is a constant glowing light about head level walking down through there.
Yeah, I've seen video on that in on a couple different shows, and of course, you see it on TikTok or whatever and stuff. But I have seen what you're talking about on that, and nobody
Yeah,
can
so we
explain it.
we have that one, and we have a couple others, and I was kind of hoping to go out there, one night and see if I can't, get us some camera on it.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
take a
back then,
GoPro with
nobody
you,
had fucking cell phones or any. There was no such thing.
right?
So maybe I can, crack figure it out.
There you go. If you do, I
Yeah.
mean, grab yourself a GoPro too, man. That's because you can put that on a chest rig, and that's with you 100%. You know what I mean? Type thing.
Hell yeah, that and a
Yeah.
44. Shit, I'm going.
Right. Exactly. And that ain't a 44 malt either.
No, that's a Magnum.
That's
So, is this now, not to like kind of throw business out there, but is this who was supposed to come out like sometime in the future to check out the Roy house, possibly? Gary,
Say that again.
I said, is this who you were talking about that was supposed to come in out of town to maybe check out the Roy place?
Yeah, we were talking about having Bobby and Stuart maybe flat because if there was like a lot of stuff going on, you know what I mean, it would have made for a nice live podcast or whatever, doing an investigation and putting clips and stuff together. But I mean, you saw Rachel. That was
Yeah, no,
that was a no go.
I totally agree with you on that. Well, I was just thinking, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, what the chances would be of the Capitol Theater, because that's a one place that I would love to go back to. Like, you talk about hearing things and seeing things on the camera, but, like, I don't know, this is what stuck out the most to me about that is the smells. Remember when we'd walk, like, a few feet, and it was, like, a sweet candy, or I can't explain the smell. It was, like, remember, and then we'd walk and then you smell fire, because that's what happened is an actor
Right.
to one of the plays had passed in the basement from a fire. And
yeah, it wasn't it was an usher. It was a young boy who died in a fire. And the part of the fire is like still there in the back on there down below. But
so, I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's I think that would be one thing. And I think Bobby, you'd probably enjoy the Capitol Theater. If
No,
we were
man,
to
like
ever
I'm
do
down.
that.
Like I said, I'm a total skeptic until I can't figure it. Then I'm like, all right, you got me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's the way, like I said, that I go into the investigations with. I'm a skeptic about everything. You know what I mean? Like even at the Roy house, he kept saying that, these handprints on the window up in the kitchen window. Right. And Bobby, I'm looking at it. Right. And I'm picturing his little girl standing up on the counter, and I look over at the cabinets, and there's like a greasy handprint of a right hand where a kid would have been leaning over and racing against the cabinet and then touching the window, right? And he's like, there's
Right.
no way a kid could have gotten up this high, from the outside. And I'm like, it's not from the outside. I mean, it was, man, I hate to keep saying it, but it was filthy. It was super dirty. No, I mean, seriously, and that handprint had probably been there for a while and was just grimed onto the window.
Stu, I just think, Gary, I just think the man wanted a friend, and I mean, the house was his in. I mean, he might have wanted more than a friend. I mean, you're an attractive guy.
Well, I did show him your picture, Bobby, and he wanted the number, but I said, I got to talk to Bobby first, man. I'm not going to let that happen.
Hey, Stu's my gay stunt double. You know what I mean? We look just alike.
is he the one that has
And poor Stuart's not with us tonight either. I mean, I don't think he made it home in time to be able to join us. And man, I'm gonna have to ask him how his stunt doubling goes.
Oh man, we've been pulling in the money.
With a glass of wine?
No, that was
No, that's
Fred.
Fred.
Oh, okay. I was like, well, I mean,
Yeah, that's Fred. So Rachel, so Fred, Bobby, and correct me if I'm wrong. Fred was kind of quote the leader,
Yeah,
supposedly,
so
of the Gold Rush
he was the
Veterans crew,
mind boss. Like he was the mind boss for the site, like the main character.
okay.
right?
Okay.
And Bobby was up there with him. Bobby didn't get a lot of camera time, if I'm right. Am I right, Bobby?
Yeah, I had some conflict with Discovery, and then they canceled my contract. But I had already told them I would come help them because they were in a bind, and I went ahead and went up there anyway.
And Bobby was also on another show, Street Outlaws. Is that right?
Yeah, a good friend of mine, Kamikaze Chris, he's a main character on that show. It's like 14 or 15 seasons now, and I would uh, I would go and help get his car together and stuff like that, and travel the country with him to do these races and whatnot.
Nice.
And Bobby's also a veteran, and Stuart's a veteran. That's kind of how we. Once I met Stuart, is how this small little group came together to start doing this podcast together. So
That's cool.
But so Hunter, you have any more stories you want to share?
Just that one that happened a couple of weeks ago. I was over at my friend's house. Her name's Maddie, and we've been friends forever. I'm actually like really good friends with her family and everything. And we were hanging out there, and it was like, I don't even know, like 3 a.m. I'd woken up and was super thirsty, so I went up her stairs. And the way her kitchen is, it's like you have the kitchen on the one end of the room, then the living room on the other. It's kind of like just like their formal living room, I guess you could call it. And I walked up there, and like I was still kind of like half asleep, and I kept hearing these women talk on the couch, and like all I thought was it was like, oh, it's probably just her sister and her mom. And then I was sitting there when I was getting water, I was like, wait, no, why would her sister and her mom be out here? It's 3 a.m. So I looked out there, and there was no one in there. So I was like, all right, whatever. And then I heard a girl kind of whisper, and she was just like, you can't do that. And I was like, what the fuck? And I kept getting my water, and then clear as day, I've never heard a disembodied voice like this, but it was right in my ear, and this lady would just said, you can't do that. And I tried to act like I wasn't scared just in case it was something, and I hurried and with my tail tucked between my legs and walked right back downstairs. But yeah, I've never experienced anything like that where I heard a woman's voice clear as day right in my ear.
So something I'll bring up, and I did talk to my mom about this, and I didn't ever have to tell her about it before, but around 3 o'clock in the morning, and most of the time, if people wake up at night, and that's about the time you wake up for some reason.
Yeah.
But that's supposed to be like the witching hour, like the devil's hour,
I've heard about
and
that.
that's a lot of your paranormal will happen around that time frame, and it also has to do with knocks, and you'll always hear if you hear anything. Well, my mom, she would always tell me. She's told me this tons of time, and she doesn't look at any of this stuff. And she's like, "Well, your grandpa came by last night." I was like, "Why is that?" And she's like, "Well, I heard him knock 3 times on the door." And she's probably told me this 15, 20 times, in conversation that this has happened. And then, and I got to doing some looking into it, and it's not. It's supposed to actually be something more devious.
Yeah, isn't it?
It's not a
Isn't it
good spirit.
Trinity?
So it was one of those deals. Like I was like, God, I got to talk to my mom. I didn't want to take it away from her because she thought it was my grandfather coming to see her. You know what I mean? But I don't need her opening the door either.
Right, I've heard about that before, and it's supposed to be like whatever it is it's actually like those 3 knocks is its way of mocking the Trinity, pretty much. The
Right.
Holy Spirit, the Son, and then gosh, can't even remember what it all is. But
So speaking about
the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
So
is that what it is? I never looked it up. I was going to look it up just so I could give everybody. And this is usually about, from what I'm reading on here, they say about 3 o'clock when this usually happens as well. Sorry, I wasn't trying to cut everybody off.
No, you're fine. Are you finding it there?
Yeah, it says it said that 3 knocks on the door or wall or windows, that death will come to take away one from the living. It is also said that 3 knocks is a sign of mocking the Holy Trinity. Superstition says if you hear 3 knocks and no one is there, it usually means someone close to you has passed away. It is also said that if you hear 3 knocks with no explanation behind the knocks, that someone you know has died or will die. And the last part, it says another superstitious story is that some type of bad news, mainly a death, will happen within 3 days, 3 weeks, or 3 months from the exact time from the knocks first started. Which, I mean, shit, man. You give me 3 days to 3 months. I mean, as you start getting up there in age, somebody got to die.
Right. But,
Yeah.
according to Tony Orlando and Don, 3 times on the ceiling means you want me. I mean, I'm just saying. But my kids are like, what the hell is my dad talking about?
No, I know that song. So, but him saying that story about his grandpa reminded me at that old house too. Do you remember Junior, my boy?
Oh, yeah.
And kept talking about the
Yeah.
guy and kept trying to move around and said that he was trying to catch him with his hose. Do you remember that?
Yeah. So Bobby, my stepdad had COPD. Well, at least that's what they told him, but I think he got, something from Agent Orange in Nam. But he was on oxygen for the last half of his life, and he would try to catch like Riker with his air hose, right? And that was the only way he could play with him, because he really couldn't get out of his chair, and he always sat in a recliner and stuff, right? So at the Roy house, I had a recliner in there, and Rachel's middle boy, how old was Junior then?
He was probably 3. About
3 or 4, right?
Yeah.
So he's out there giggling in the living room, right? And he's laughing, and we're like, what the hell's going on out there? So we ask him, and he says, the man in the chair is trying to catch me. He's trying to catch me with his hose, right? So Junior never met my dad. My dad at this point had been passed for probably 6-7 years, I guess. And so I got a bunch of pictures together, and I put a picture of my dad in there, right? And we were just having Junior go through the pictures, and he stops on my dad and he goes, "Hell, that's the guy who was trying to catch me with his hose."
See, because there's no coincidence there, man. Like, it's not, you're not going to ever convince me that's a coincidence.
Right.
Especially at a young age.
Yeah, I mean, and I mixed it in with just other random photos, and he just was like, "Bam, that's the guy."
Right. You know what I'm saying? So, like, even at a young age, like, you're never going to convince me that all that can happen just, coincidentally. It's just not possible.
Right. No.
And pick them out from a photo.
Right.
Exactly. All right. Well, we are hitting almost that hour mark here. So with that said, I want to thank you, Bobby, for hanging in there with us and hanging with my family and Rachel and Hunter.
Oh,
I appreciate you guys telling the stories, and, like always, everybody out there, reach out to us at aretheyoutthere1@gmail.com. When this goes on YouTube, you can comment in the comment section there. Let us know what you want to hear, what you think, good or bad. We want to know. So with that said, I appreciate everybody, and we'll call it a night, and I look forward to doing this one more time soon again.